The courtroom doors creak open, and the entire room's gaze follows the Brown family as they enter. Kody enters first, his body stiff, face ashen, and shaking hands. The fluorescent light from the courtroom casts a long shadow over the gleaming wooden benches, and the room becomes almost surreal, oppressive. Christine is next, her eyes narrowed and lips pursed tightly, like a dam preventing a tide of emotion. Janelle walks last, still quiet but tensed, each movement cautious, as if she is attempting to ready herself for the storm that is to come. Meri nervously plays with a bracelet, spinning it around her wrist as if it might pin her to reality, while Robyn remains silent, her fingers wrapped over the edge of the pew, knuckles tight. The quiet is oppressive, punctuated only by the rumble of the courtroom air conditioner and the occasional rustle of papers by the court clerk. The judge pushes her glasses up and glances down at her papers, voice strong and unbreakable. We are gathered here today to discuss accusations of fiscal impropriety, clandestine decision-making, and covert actions within this household. Mr. Brown, you may sit down. Kody gulps, moving cautiously towards the witness stand, his features strained in distress. The prosecutor stands, voice resonating in the silent room. Your Honor, we have found evidence that indicates that Mr. Brown made large financial decisions without the knowledge or approval of his wives. Those actions have caused hurt, confusion, and, in a few instances, probable legal violations. The words hit like a hammer, echoing throughout the courtroom. Christine makes a sudden inhalation of breath, sharp and audible, and it catches the attention of all parties. Janelle stiffens, Meri's fingers tighten around her bracelet, and Robyn's jaw sets in a quiet but resolute determination. Kody opens his mouth, but no words come. His palms are slick with sweat and his heart pounds like a drum. The tension in the room is palpable. Each wife's gaze feels like it's cutting through him, piercing every layer of denial and hesitation he tries to maintain. Memories flash in Kody's mind, late-night fights in dark kitchens, telephone whispers he attempted to conceal, rationales he believed would work but never really did. Now in the cold, strained courtroom, all those carefully built walls of silence are about to come crashing down. The prosecutor points to the big screen installed at the front of the court. Your Honor, we'd like to enter the first item of evidence. The judge nods and the screen comes on. Bank statements, emails, and receipts flash, each paper a nail in the coffin of trust that Kody has attempted to preserve. Each transaction, each mysterious communication is a tale of lying, measured decisions and broken trust. Christine leans in, eyes shining with tears she struggles to suppress. I knew something wasn't right, she speaks softly, almost to herself. But I never thought this. Her tone is bitter with shock and pain. Janelle's lips compress so tightly that her jaw hurts. Her fists clench and release as she struggles to keep from breaking down. Meri shudders, her normally composed face broken open by the gravity of what is happening. Robyn sits tight, taut but vigilant, her mind dashing over all the particulars she's seen in the last few months. Kody's voice at last shatters the strained silence. Your Honor, I can tell you, he stammers, although his tone quavers and his eyes shift rapidly around the room. But the whispers start right away, quiet words that spread like a tempest beneath the surface of the courtroom. Each wife shares a look loaded with unspoken questions. Can we ever be trusted again? Has it all been a deception? The prosecutor leans forward, voice steady but crisp. Mr. Brown, the record shows that not only were these decisions undisclosed, but some actions actually contradict statements you made to your spouses. How do you explain this? Kody swallows. His throat's parched dryness makes it hard to seek words that will be suitable, words that could save the tenuous trust that still lingers like a strand. I wanted to keep everyone safe, he confesses, his voice cracking under the burden of admission. I did not want to overload anyone, but I realize now that my decisions have harmed more than helped. Christine inclines a little in her chair, her voice low but biting. Protecting us? By keeping things from us? By making choices that change all of our lives without even informing us? How is that protection? The courtroom contracts under the ferocity of her stare, walls closing in as if to respond to the raw emotion filling the air. Janelle's voice is softer, but just as intense. I don't know if I can even try to forgive this, she says, staring at Kody, then casting a brief look at the other wives for confirmation, awaiting silent support. Mutual incredulity, Meri finally speaks, bitter but calm. We've lived in this house together, shared every meal, celebrated milestones, and yet we are standing here, questioning every word, every decision. How did we get here? Her tone is controlled, but the underlying hurt and betrayal rings like a bell through the courtroom. Robyn's turn, and her voice shakes with anger under control. Kody, I trusted you. I stood there by your side while you handled everything, and now I don't know who to trust anymore. Her eyes are large, rimmed with a mix of sadness and hard determination that leaves no question she's not going to back down. The tension is nearly unbearable. The judge, noticing the palpable weight of emotion, clears her throat. Let's remain focused on the facts. We will proceed with the evidence. The prosecutor clicks a button, and the screen changes to another group of documents. Emails with coded language, late-night financial transaction records, and a pattern of decisions that none of the wives knew. Each click is quieter than the last, each uncovering a veil of secrets hidden so carefully until this moment. Kody shifts uncomfortably in his seat, beads of sweat forming on the edge of his temple. His mind is running a mile a minute, replaying every conversation, every excuse he'd made, and every sneaky detail he figured never had a chance to come out. He looks over at Christine, whose look fluctuates between heartbreak and rage, then Janelle, whose silence is a form of judgment. Meri turns her head away, attempting to conceal the tear that threatens to fall, and Robyn's hands curl into fists, knuckles white, abruptly. The courtroom clerk hurries forward, holding a folded sheet of paper. The judge reads it silently, her gaze raking the words, her face altering subtly, but perceptibly. A silence falls over the room. The note is anonymous, a hint of an even greater betrayal, something no one had foreseen. The camera, or the viewers, picturing themselves here, pushes in on the note, the words indistinct but freighted with meaning. Christine leans forward, whispering to the attorney beside her, This changes everything. We're not just dealing with money, we're dealing with trust, loyalty, and the foundation of our family. The courtroom reassembles after the short break, the tension heavier than ever. The air is thick and electric, each breath reminding that the tension hasn't lessened, only increased. Kody remains seated at the defendant's table, hands clasped but shaking, his eyes flicking to each wife, each expression a silent blame. Christine's eyes are hard and piercing. Janelle's body stiff as a coiled spring on the verge of springing. Meri's fingers fidget nervously, twirling her bracelet as if it could ground her, while Robyn sits upright, jaw tight, trying to mask the storm of emotion threatening to spill over. The judge calls the court to order. We will now proceed with testimony from those directly affected by these actions. Robyn, please take the stand. Robyn gets up slowly, every step slow, her voice firm but with a touch of nervousness. I never wanted to put my family in this kind of light, she tells Kody, looking him straight in the eyes. But the things I uncovered left me with no alternative. I found actions and communications that were hidden from all of us. Things that impact our lives, our children, and the very foundation of our family, the courtroom whispers. Christine tenses and Janelle bends forward, hearing carefully. Meri gasps harshly, preparing for what is next. Kody fidgets in his chair, the burden of shame weighing him down like an iron vice. Robyn goes on, her voice firmer now, with an edge of anger under control. I discovered emails, phone records, and banking transactions that were not simple mistakes. Rather, they were premeditated attempts to influence results in secret, without reference to us. And that I will not overlook. She looks at each of the wives as she speaks, allowing her words to fall like stones in water. Flashbacks flood the courtroom, cast in the narrative like weak shadows. Nights of whispered arguments, cryptic phone calls, and private discussions that were never fully shared replay in vivid detail. The audience sees Robyn's sleepless nights, the anxiety etched on her face, the quiet panic as she pieced together the fragments of hidden truths. Each wife's perspective intertwines in the narration, their voices overlapping, recounting feelings of confusion, suspicion, and betrayal. Christine rises suddenly, her voice sharp, cutting through the tension. That's not really the case. I had my reasons for each thing that I did. I never intended to hurt anybody, but I needed to defend some things in our family. Her tone is defensive, but the tremble in her voice reveals her doubt. Janelle fidgets uncomfortably, looking from Christine to Robyn, weighing silently whose story matches what she's lived. Meri's face is tight but unyielding, a whirlwind of emotion brewing beneath tranquil eyes. The prosecutor advances, a serene but piercing figure in the room. Robyn, would you tell me what drove you to disclose these actions at this time? Were there particular events that compelled you? Robyn breathes deeply, speaking softly but firmly. It wasn't one thing. It was the pileup of secrets, the secret financial maneuvers, the mysterious messages. And then I discovered something I could no longer stay silent about. There is a silence that descends on the courtroom. The viewers can sense the air constricting as the next piece of evidence is rolled onto the screen. A series of text messages between Kody and an unknown number. Dialogues that hint at manipulation, secrecy, and calculated moves made behind the wives' backs. The words on the screen are plain yet heart-wrenching. Every line has consequence, suggesting decisions that impact not just the family's budget, but their trust, security, and emotional health. Christine lets out a visible gasp, her hand covering her mouth. Janelle's fists press into her lap, knuckles white as she struggles to absorb the news. Meri reclines, her eyes squinting, jaw clenched. Robyn stands firm, unmoving, though her own eyes brim with the tension of confrontation. The tension rises as the prosecutor pushes further. Ms. Robyn, did these messages convey that Mr. Brown deliberately withheld information to influence family outcomes? Robyn swallows, her voice firm but calm. Yes, that is what they convey. And whereas I attempted to call him out in private, he would deny, deflect, and cover up the truth over and over. She shoots a glance at Kody, who looks down at his hands, gulping hard, as if the burden of being exposed is only just registering. The camera, or the voiceover, cuts back to Christine, advancing to the witness stand herself. Her voice is firm now, but charged with naked emotion. I do acknowledge there were choices I made that I didn't fully reveal. But they were never done to hurt anyone. I felt as though I was defending the family. Her eyes moved to each wife in turn, asking silently for understanding, forgiveness, or maybe an acknowledgement of her motivation. Janelle, who remains sitting, finally utters words. Protecting the family? By making secrets and concealing truths? That's not protection, that's control. Her voice is acidic, but a tremble in her tone reveals her devastation. Meri's eyes dart around Kody's face as she leans in. We've built years of trusting one another, believing we're doing this together. And now, we stand here questioning every decision, every word, every vow. The courtroom becomes even more strained as a new bit of evidence is pulled up on the screen. A voicemail message that had been left on Robyn's phone. The voice, muffled but unmistakable, suggests coordination and subterfuge, exposing plans that flatly contradict what Kody has publicly acknowledged. Gasps spread through the courtroom. Even the judge leans forward, eyebrows raised. Kody's defense collapses. He opens his mouth to speak, but the weight of the revelations chokes him. I thought I was doing what was best for everyone, he stammers, voice barely audible. I didn't realize how much harm I was causing. The wives glance at each other, some softened by his confession, some hardened by the continuing betrayal. Robyn withdraws from the stand, her still clenched fists, her voice shaking. It's not about intention, Kody. It's about honesty, respect, and trust. And those are things that can't be rebuilt once they're shattered. The judge interrupts, her tone stern but controlled. Let's stay on track. This is a case of facts, of evidence, and of actions having consequences. Personal complaints will be heard in due course. The room falls silent as the next exhibit is presented. A sequence of photographs and texts shared in private, presenting moments that challenge the public account offered by Kody and, to some extent, the other wives. The photographs narrate a tale no words could ever explain. Instance of clandestine meetings, late evenings of discussion, and covert negotiations that were never shared with the rest of the family. The tension builds to a fever pitch when Christine abruptly gasps, grabbing her chest. The prosecutor looks at her, taken aback. Ms. Christine, I didn't know this, she breathes, voice trembling. There's more. She quakes in handing over a folder on the witness stand, pushing it towards the prosecutor. These are things I never wanted anyone to know. But I couldn't remain silent anymore. A stunned silence falls over the courtroom. Janelle's eyes widen, Meri's lips press tightly together, and Robyn's fingers flex against the railing. Kody swallows hard, his face paling as he realizes that the revelations aren't finished. They are only escalating. The section ends with a call by the judge for a brief recess, but the courtroom does not clear before. The camera, the audience's imagination, dwells on Christine's file. The contents are not revealed, but the tension of anticipation becomes almost unbearable. Every wife shoots, silent, heavy, glances, aware that what is to be revealed might destroy the family or bring long overdue truths to the light at last. The courtroom hums with expectation as the recess comes to a close. All eyes are on Kody, who sits stiff, palms clasped tightly on the tabletop in front of him. His jaw is clenched, his eyes darting between the judge and wives, each look a reminder of the frayed trust he has broken. Christine is seated upright, her shoulders tense, eyes flashing with anger and pain. Janelle leans forward a little, her fingers curled around the edge of the bench, and Meri just sits, face impassive but eyes dark with suspicion. Robyn's stance is tense, every muscle coiled, as if she is getting ready to weather the storm that is going to break. The judge coughs. We will now continue with further evidence pertaining to this case. Ms. Christine, please hand over what you have brought to court. Slowly, Christine gets up, the gravity of the situation evident in every gesture. She walks to the prosecutor's table and passes a thick file across it, her fingers shaking a little. Kody's eyes go wide as he notices the folder. What it contains, he knows, is evidence that has the power to entirely upend the balance of the case. His gut constricts as though the walls of the courtroom are closing in on him. The room goes quiet, the whine of the air conditioning dropping away into a practically suffocating silence. The prosecutor opens the folder and starts to sift through what's inside. Papers, emails, and photos are carefully spread out. Your Honor, the prosecutor starts, voice restrained but firm. These documents show that not only were financial decisions kept in the dark without disclosure, but there's also evidence of secret communication hinting at a coordinated action to rig things in favor of the family. This is not mere lack of oversight. It is intended deception. Gasps are heard throughout the courtroom. Christine turns to Kody, her eyes burning. You see, she says, her voice husky but lethal. This is what I've been trying to warn everybody about. This isn't about money. It's about trust. You betrayed all of us. Kody swallows hard, his face white. He tries to speak, but no words are forthcoming. The burden of exposure weighs upon him like a physical entity. Robyn leans forward, her voice shaking with forced anger. You endangered all of us, and you expect to explain this away? Janelle finally speaks, her tone acerbic and biting. This isn't about protection or errors. It's about betrayal, plain and simple. We've all compromised, all sacrificed, and you went behind our backs. How do you justify that? Meri, typically reserved and quiet, finally raises her head. Her eyes clash with Kody's with a fury that cuts deeper than words ever could. Years building a life together, believing in family, believing in each other. And now what do we have? Lies, manipulation, and suspicion. Do you call that love? The prosecutor points toward a big screen at the front of the courtroom. Your Honor, we possess an audio recording procured legally that substantiates Ms. Christine's allegations. Listen carefully. The sound crackles to life. Faint at first and then stronger. A dialogue between Kody and an unidentifiable contact, debating ways to keep certain financial choices hidden, to manipulate results, and to dictate how information was being disseminated to the family. The courtroom is frozen. Christine gasps audibly, covering her mouth. Janelle's hands clench in her lap. Meri's face is taut, eyes narrowing. Robyn sits back slightly, absorbing every word, the anger and disbelief evident in her expression. Kody's hands tremble, a bead of sweat running down his temple as he listens. He opens his lips to protest, voice trembling. I didn't intend to. I was attempting to protect all of you. But the attempt is feeble, overwhelmed by the burden of evidence now made evident. Christine shudders her head, her tears of sorrow on the brink. Protect us by lying? By concealing the truth? That is not protection. That is betrayal. The judge clears her throat, attempting to regain composure. We will get on with it quietly. Mr. Brown, the testimony against you is considerable. Your defense will be heard, but this court will not overlook documented evidence of dishonesty. The stress mounts as more papers are disclosed. Images of late-night meetings, messages showing clandestine communications with third parties, and bank statements indicating unauthorized disbursements accumulate on the screen. Each one adds a plank to the developing narrative of betrayal, building an almost intolerable burden for all in the room. Kody's defense is weakened when Janelle comes forward, indicating a certain email on the screen. This indicates that you manipulated the children's inheritance without informing anybody. Do you even know the repercussions of this? Her voice is arise, shaking with rage and sorrow. You've destroyed the family we placed you in charge of protecting. Meri leans across, her serene composure cracking just sufficiently to display the intensity of her agony. All these years we lived under the belief that we were partners, that our opinions counted. And now I realize I was mistaken. Every statement, every choice. Controlled. Her voice is low, bitter, and cutting, the courtroom still as the weight of her words hangs in the air. Robyn rises at last, her hands shaking but her voice unyielding. I attempted to confront you in private. I attempted to trust you to do the right thing, and yet, here we are, demonstrating that nothing could ever have been trusted. Every secret, every manipulation, every concealed plan, all revealed. Kody sits, his face ghost-like, gazing at the floor. He recognizes the walls closing in. Each wife's glare cuts deeper than any accusation in law. His mind struggles, attempting to seek justification, a word, a reason that can erase the harm. But he knows deep inside that words cannot stand against the deluge of evidence. Abruptly, the prosecutor presents a fresh document, a thorough timeline demonstrating that Kody's clandestine activities overlapped with times of emotional weakness among the wives. These are not merely financial moves. These are manipulations involving trust, emotional security, and the relationships that hold the family together. Christine comes forward, low and glacial voice. You set this all up. Every move, every lie, thought out. And you assumed no one would ever discover the truth. Her hands tremble a fraction, but her voice is firm. Janelle looks at her, nodding silently, as if her unuttered words say the same thing. We've been tricked by one of our own. The tension peaks when a new piece of evidence emerges. Messages between Kody and an external party discussing strategies to influence the wives' decisions without their knowledge. The courtroom seems to hold its breath. Each wife reacts differently. Christine's eyes widen in disbelief. Janelle's hands clench. Meri's face tightens with a mixture of anger and hurt, and Robyn's jaw sets, her eyes burning with betrayal. The judge leans forward, voice authoritative. Mr. Brown, are you ready to tell us about these charges in full? This court will listen to your story, but the evidence speaks strongly. Kody swallows hard, his voice a mere whisper. I didn't think it would be an issue. I thought I was keeping everyone safe, maintaining harmony. His words die away as the weight of reality crushes down. I never knew I was causing damage. The courtroom doors open again, and the atmosphere is practically palpable, heavy enough to strangle. The wives sit down, but the air is charged. Each look between them and Kody has decades of deceit, heartache, and unspoken accusations behind it. Kody sits at the defendant's table, hands clasped tightly, knuckles white. He pales, lips clamped in a thin line, sweat beading along his temples. Every inch of him shouts anxiety and guilt. Christine's eyes burn with anger as she leans forward, voice barely restrained. I can't believe we're here. I trusted you, Kody, every decision, every word, and you hid the truth from all of us. Her hands shake as she grips the edge of the bench. Janelle, seated beside her, leans forward, jaw tight, fingers tapping nervously on her knees. It's not about secrets or money, she says, speaking softly but with a cutting edge. It's about trust. How are we going to move forward after this? Meri sits silently, calm, but her eyes reveal the tempest raging within. We've invested years in believing in family, love, in each other, and now, with every new discovery, I feel like all we created is disintegrating. Robyn clenches her fists, jaws hard, voice trembling with contained anger. I've tried to keep it together for the children, for the family, but the deceptions, I can no longer just look away. The judge clears her throat, attempting to keep things in order. Let's move slowly. This session will be about emotional testimonies, but let's not forget the facts. The first witness is Christine. She stands up, shoulders set, voice shaking a little but firm. I tried protecting this family from the truth, she starts, looking at Kody. I did what I believed was best, but I can now see hiding made everything worse. Her hands fist and her eyes flash. I never dreamed we'd be here in a courtroom facing lies and betrayal. I trusted you, Kody, and you violated that trust. The courtroom whispers as Kody drops his head, shame in his attitude. Christine, I didn't know I was hurting you, he whispers, voice too quiet to hear. I thought I was keeping everyone safe, maintaining harmony. But they ring false in the face of increasing evidence. Janelle steps forward next, voice cold and biting. Peace? You call this peace? We've had suspicion, confusion, and fear living within us while you made decisions in secret. Peace would have been honesty, Kody. Peace would have been trust. And you took that away from all of us. Her hands tremble, the tension in her arms palpable as she points toward the court. Meri leans in, her normally composed self giving way to raw emotion. We've shared everything for years. Dinner, milestones, celebrations. And now we're standing here questioning every decision, every promise, every word. Her words are husky, even-toned, but the undertone of pain is unmistakable. How could you betray us like this? Robyn stands at last, tears brimming in her eyes, but voice firm. I tried to trust you, Kody. I tried to believe that your decisions were correct. And now, looking at the evidence, hearing the tapes, I see that trust was in vain. Each secret, each concealed plan. It's not just a betrayal. It's a hurt we might never recover from. Kody swallows, his throat constricted. Slowly he stands, shaking hands. I thought I was doing the best for all of us, he states, his voice cracking. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I could control everything, take care of everyone, and hold the family together. But I see now, I've done irreparable harm. The courtroom is still. All the wives are staring at him intently, each response a reflection of the hurt and betrayal she feels. Christine's eyes well up with tears, Janelle's jaw clenches, Meri's lips compress into silent rage, and Robyn shakes her head in heartbreak. The prosecutor rises, voice firm but even. Mr. Brown, the court has seen a lot of evidence, but here, what we have is not simply about dollars and cents. It's about trust, family, and emotional accountability. Can you really explain why these choices were made without discussion? Kody breathes deeply, shuddering. I thought I was protecting everyone. From stress, from conflict, from hurt. I thought if I made some decisions quietly, I could avoid fights, maintain a peaceful family. He swallows hard, locks eyes with Robyn. But I realize now that my silence hurt more than anything else ever could. Christine advances, her voice growing louder. Silence? Guarding us? That's not protection, Kody. That's control. You determined what we were to know, what we weren't to know. You determined who gets to have choices. And that is not love. That is betrayal. Janelle's head shakes as if in disbelief. I believed in you, Kody. All of us believed in you, and now we are left to make pieces of choices we never made. Meri's tone is low, biting, steel. We were partners. Partners. And here we are, questioning all of this. Is this what it means to be a family? Robyn's voice is shaking with emotion but cuts through the tension. The worst part isn't just the secrets. It's the fact that this could have been avoided if honesty was the base. And now we're just left with pieces of a family that we might never be able to fix. The judge interrupts, her voice even. This session is emotional. But the court will keep considering evidence that relates to how these actions had an effect on family relationships. She nods toward the prosecutor, who motions for the next item of evidence, a confidential audio recording that contains a private conversation between Kody and one of the wives. The room grows silent as the audio begins to play. The conversation is faint at first, then clearer, revealing Kody expressing regret. but also admitting strategic decisions intended to control outcomes without full disclosure. The wives' faces are taut with emotion. Christine's mouth opens slightly in disbelief. Janelle's hands tremble, gripping her knees. Meri's eyes narrow with fury. Robyn leans forward, fists clenched, jaw tight. Kody buries his face in his hands, shame and fear written across his face. "I never wanted it to go this far," he whispers, voice cracking. "I thought I could do it." "I was wrong." Christine steps forward, voice low but biting. "Wrong? Kody, this isn't a matter of being wrong. This is a matter of trust broken, relationships ruined, and a family left standing wondering what's real and what's not." Janelle's head shakes, tears rising to her eyes. "I don't know if we can recover from this. I don't know if anyone can." Meri at last stands up, her peace restored but with an edge of steel. "We will need time. We will need truth. And we will need to determine if forgiveness is even possible after all this." Robyn's voice shakes, but what she says is strong. "We've witnessed the betrayal. We've experienced the lies. And now the real question is, can we endure what comes next, or is this the demise of what we once held dear?" The courtroom is charged, filled with an almost crushing heaviness. The air is heavy, filled with anticipation, each heartbeat ringing louder than before. Kody sits at the defense table, hands locked tightly on the smooth wood, jaw set, eyes flicking between the judge and wives. His face is white, a film of sweat shining along his temples, each movement revealing the tension running through him. Christine sits upright, eyes narrowed, fingers clasped tightly in her lap. Janelle leans forward slightly, her posture rigid, hands gripping the edge of the bench, knuckles white. Meri's face is composed, yet her eyes reveal the turmoil simmering beneath the surface, a storm of betrayal and sorrow. Robyn sits tall, shoulders squared, hands clenched, a quiet but fierce resolve in her gaze. The room is silent, with everyone conscious that the judgment that is to be read out will define the very basis of their family. The judge clears her throat, her voice firm but authoritative. Having considered all the evidence, testimonies, and documents presented to the court, it finds that there has been egregious misconduct in dealing with family affairs, including hiding information, tampering with results, and making decisions without consulting all spouses in the matter. The result of such actions has resulted in emotional and relational harm within this family. Kody swallows hard, his throat parched. His hands shake ever so slightly as he adjusts his position. Every molecule of him feels vulnerable to the weight of the verdict, but a part of him stiffens, knowing he can do nothing to reverse the hurt he has inflicted. Christine releases a sharp breath, relief and lingering anger fighting for space on her face. "Finally!" she breathes, her voice husky but electric with emotion. The truth is out. Janelle sits back, exhaling slowly, still tense, but visibly relieved that the hidden truths have been acknowledged. Meri's expression softens just slightly, her eyes reflecting the complex mix of vindication and lingering heartbreak. Robyn's hands unclench, though her jaw remains tight. The fire of betrayal still evident in her eyes, the judge continues, her gaze sweeping over the wives and Kody. This court suggests counseling, mediation, and an open communication to mend the broken trust and the emotional and relational harm brought about. All parties must commit to transparency and accountability in the future. The court recognizes the intricacy of this family situation and calls for patience, candor, and regular communication. Kody's voice breaks as he at last speaks. I get it. I realize now how my choices hurt everyone. I never wanted this, never wanted to ruin what we've created. I don't know if I can repair it, but I will try. I swear I will try. His eyes dart to each wife, hoping for a reaction, a glimmer that redemption might still be available to him. Christine's voice is soft, heavy with contained emotion. Trying isn't going to be enough, Kody. Words won't cut it. Actions must follow. And even then, forgiveness is not a given. She looks at Janelle, Meri, and Robyn, who all exchange serious, understanding glances. Janelle leans forward slightly, voice steady but firm. We've been through a lot. We've been hurt, betrayed, and left questioning everything. If we're going to move forward, it has to be real. No more secrets. No more hidden agendas. Meri finally speaks, her voice calm yet resolute. This verdict isn't just about accountability, it's about rebuilding, about trust. And whether that's possible, only time will tell. Robyn's voice shudders a little but is heavy. We have seen the worst of betrayal. We've faced the lies. Now the next step is all of ours. We have a decision, to allow this to consume us, or to meet it head-on and rebuild, brick by brick. The courtroom is silent for a moment, each one taking in the seriousness of what is going on. Kody breathes out slowly, shoving his hand through his hair, a frustrated, regretful gesture, acknowledging the magnitude of what he has done. Abruptly, Christine stands, her voice cracking. There is one thing more we need to recognize, she tells the room, maintaining the focus of every person present in the courtroom. This isn't about what happened in the past. This is about how we proceed. If we are going to make it as a family, we must have clarity, honesty, and open communication from this point forward, or misunderstandings. This is about choice, and the consequences are monumental. We must decide what comes next, as one. Meri's eyes soften a bit, the flicker of hope mixed with wariness. It's going to be difficult, agonizing, emotional, but if we're honest, there's hope. Hope to rebuild what has been shattered. Robyn stands up, taking a deep breath as she faces Kody. We've all seen the betrayal, all felt the pain, but we also have a decision. We can allow this to tear us down, or we can use it as a chance to be stronger than ever before. That's our decision. Kody, it begins with you. Your choices going forward will determine if trust can come again. Kody lowers his head, swallowing. I get it, and I swear. I'll do whatever I must to set this right. His voice is firm now, with both apology and a touch of resolve. The judge's eyes narrow, her face stern but impartial. This court values accountability and openness. Both sides are urged to practice professional counseling and family mediation. The way ahead will be marked by diligence, patience, and unflinching truth. Only by taking these steps can the family possibly heal. Slowly, the courtroom drains of spectators, the strain gradually giving way to tentative calm. The wives look at each other, feelings raw but balanced with guarded hope. Kody trails behind, a guilt-ridden man, but one also bearing the first hesitant steps toward forgiveness. Outside of the courtroom, the family comes together for a fleeting moment, faces a composite of relief, sadness, and guarded optimism. Christine speaks first, voice low but sincere. We've seen the worst. Now it's how we go on from here. No secrets. No more secrets from each other anymore. Janelle nods. It won't be simple. Healing never is. But if we make a promise to be honest, perhaps, just perhaps, we can regain what was lost. Meri's eyes shine with unshed tears. It's a long journey, a painful one, but it's the only path forward if we want to survive as a family. Robyn exhales slowly, finally allowing a small glimmer of hope to shine through her expression. We've faced betrayal. We've confronted lies. Now it's about action, commitment, and honesty. The next chapter is ours to write. Kody moves forward, voice soft but genuine. I realize I've done irreparable harm, and words won't cut it. But I will work every day to show that I can be trusted again. That I can guard this family, not in secrets, but in action and honesty. The scene dissolves on the family together, not yet healed but bound in a tentative, fragile manner. The stain of betrayal remains, but so does hope for redemption.